They are. My only hope is that the performances yesterday speak for themselves and they follow into today. But speaking of today, first matchup that we've got, Gelida. They take on Direwolves, and the roster certainly, look, they've had some impressive performances, Dev, but they've also had some low lows.
Yeah, look, I think Gelida have been fantastic. They opened up their stage, taking down Fury, the back-to-back champions from last year. Yes, it was an overtime, but it was a big win nonetheless. In their second game, they did lose, unfortunately, and not get a point when they played Elevate, but they still took it to 12 rounds, so maximum without getting overtime. I think they would have liked an overtime out of that game, and that would have probably made their stage look even better. But since then, 7-1 over Daystar, 7-2 over Hasi's Warriors, and then the only big red flag is losing to Bleed the other day, yesterday rather, which probably should have been a 7-0 in favor of Bleed if they tightened up some things. Ended up being a 7-4. Yeah, Gelida, I think, are a really good team. Like these guys have improved so much since last year when this roster played under the No Cap R6 banner. Of course, Gelida did have a team last year. They were not great. And so they picked up the No Cap guys. Yeah, I'm really excited for these. Like I've said many times before, I'm hugely biased for these guys. Like this Thai roster dates back to the old Elevate team. And, they went to SI 2022, made a big splash in Berlin as well. So I really want to see these players do well.
Yeah, the only player that's missing is the only goat beside ED for me. It's Onigiri.
Oh, right.
Look, it's no. Look, to be fair, they're my goats because of the interviews that we used to have back in the day. Shout out if anyone remembers the APAC South interviews; they were absolutely goated. But since we're on the APAC South train, how about we talk about a team that dominated for a little while there? Direwolves, obviously, nowhere near who they used to be. They've only got Souffle and Pika who kind of follow through, and technically Harambe if you want to keep him in the conversation. But this roster, Mandy, it does feel as though there has been a clear divide, and we kind of closed out the show last night talking about it, but Direwolves just aren't hitting the mark for us just yet.
No, not quite. Direwolves, they look a little rough around the edges, I think is the polite way to put it. Especially, I think yesterday's match against Knock Knock showed a lot of weakness in the ways that they were able to lose rounds against them. It actually looked quite competitive for the first half of that last game, which I think surprised a lot of us on the desk. I'm not sure how much it surprised the audience, but for us on the desk, it certainly was a bit of a shocker to us because we really thought that Direwolves would have been a step ahead of those teams. But I do think that it does show that, yes, there is that quite clear divide between the top four and the bottom four now. And I think, unfortunately, Direwolves has slipped into that sort of like 5th place spot onwards. That being said, though, at the moment in the standings, I believe they are sitting in 4th place at the moment.
Yes.
And so they are a step ahead of Gelida, who they're playing today. So for Direwolves to retain that 4th spot, they will still need to beat out Gelida today. Although, to be honest, 4th, 5th place, it doesn't really matter. You're still on the Bleed side of the bracket once you hit the playoffs. So it's pretty rough regardless.
Yeah, they've got a real dogfight to try and get out of that. Either team, to be fair, have a real dogfight. They've got to try to beat out Fury and Elevate, who are currently 3rd and 2nd, respectively. But this is the head-to-head that we have. I think Jogor obviously took a bit of a hit to his performance last night, Dev, but still they got it across the line. And Sap, honestly, I have been stunned at how incredibly consistent Sap has been this stage.
Yeah, Sap is actually one of the best players in the league right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th best player in the league for his rating. Jogor is still maintaining that #1 spot despite having a bit of a quieter game yesterday. But yeah, Sapper in particular, like he's the one I really want to harp on about because this guy was absolutely insane near the end of his tenure on Elevate. And then when that team kind of fell apart, Sapper took a little bit of a break. He had some real life things to do, and I'm so glad that he's back in. Unfortunately, it means Onigiri is now taking his break, but Sapper has just returned to form. Like you would have thought, having a little bit of a break, he might come back rusty, but no, he's looking great. He's gone and played a lot of supportive roles in the past as well, and now he's kind of a little bit more of a frontline player. Which is really nice to see, like that versatility. And I think Gelida as a whole are extremely versatile. You don't have anyone that's like chained to Thermite, for example. You've got a really well-rounded roster. Everyone can jump in and entry when needed. Everyone can jump in and play something more supportive or like, play to the win condition if they're needed to, instead of just like focusing on just fragging, for example. I think it's what makes this Gelida roster so good. And if you compare that to Direwolves and Jogor specifically, like he is just a blunt instrument. That's pretty much all he is. And yeah, he's helping the team a little bit with his util, like Dokkaebi, Wamai, his mains, both very useful util for the team. But end of the day, when you have Jogo on your team, you want him to get 2-3 kills around. That's what you're hoping.
Yeah. Again, just a small little tank from the performances of yesterday almost. But look, Joga, I think if he can continue his reign in this league, could well be talking about a very, very interesting playoffs if and when we do get there for Direwolves. But Mandy, I'm going to ask a little bit of a loaded question for you.
All right.
Between these two teams, they have a total of 6 wins. Out of those 6 wins, only 1 has been from the Southeast Asian region. Is that saying something, or do you think that I'm reading too much into it?
I think it does say something. I would agree with that, to be honest. I think, especially for Gelida Esports, I know that we're big fans of them here on the desk, but I think as the league has gone on, they don't look as good as they did at the start of Stage 1. And I know that might be a brutal thing to say, but I don't think it's because they've gotten worse. I just think it's that the top 4 has looked a lot better. And so for them to be sitting in that top 4 conversation, which is what we're putting them in at the moment, they're definitely sitting on the cusp of being kicked out of that pretty soon, right? And I think for them to show up against Direwolves here, which is another Southeast Asian team, is pretty important to be able to solidify themselves in that top 4.
Geez, I'll tell you what, it'd be interesting if we get to a world where we're talking about a top 3, bottom 5 kind of thing, Dev. Let's go ahead and look at the vetoes as we start to burn through these ones. Well, I was going to say, surely we don't head back to Chalet after what we saw yesterday.
No, Oregon's out. Bank.
We're going to Bank.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like that.
No, Shelly.
No,
Yeah, I'm
Chalet.
excited. The 3 maps I was keeping an eye on this video, Skyscraper, Oregon, and Bank, and that's because these teams actually played each other in the qualifiers for this tournament. You know, neither got that direct invite, and the previous tournament, the previous stage, that was the last time these two teams played each other. It was back when Gelida was called No Cap. Now, this was quite some time ago, but a lot of the rosters have maintained most of their players, and they did actually play each other on Bank, and it was a 7-8 in favor of No Cap R6, now Gelida. So the last time these teams played each other, it was a very tight matchup. Gelida won it, but only by a narrow margin. This was a long time ago, actually. It was back in October, but I still think that it holds some merit, and you got to let me storyline something here. That is the last time that Direwolves played Bank, and Gelida, I'm trying to look back. They haven't played Bank since then either. So this is, I think, like a great opportunity for both teams to show what they've been working on in that meantime and see who takes it. Hopefully it's going to be as close as it was last time.
Mandy, very quickly, who have you got?
I have still got Gelida, and I think it'll be probably not a super decisive Gelida, to be honest. I think Dev's prefaced it pretty well, but I still think it'll be Gelida.
Well, it's exciting times because this game could have repercussions for the loser. Gelida, they take on Direwolves as we head to Bank with Cousins Enox.
Yeah, big game tonight for these two teams. A lot on the line as we get towards the final stages of the group stage. Only one more play day remaining after this, as the desk kind of went through a lot of the circumstances, guys, and the reasons why these kind of matches now have got such great importance. It really is all about being in the best position as you enter the playoffs. And, well, let's be honest, to summarize that, you want to be in the opposite side of the bleed bracket.
Yeah, for sure. And even just outside, I think, of seeding implication, it's all about working out where you really are at the moment, because it's really not that long before those playoffs kick off. And there's every world in which these two are going to be competing against each other at some point in that bracket, potentially. So, yeah, eager to jump into this game. It's a battleground in which they've battled out on previously, and Bank's always a good one to watch play out. 4th versus 5th. Excited for this one.
Yeah, now we got to cast Direwolves last night, so not too long ago. I mean, less than 24 hours ago, and their game against Knock Knock on Chalet was not really all that great, to be completely honest. They started quite slow. Knock Knock actually got kind of a hold of Direwolves. They got to a 4-4 scoreline before Direwolves were able to win the last 3 rounds, 7-4 in the end. But a little bit of a scare for a roster and a team that is looking to be in contention to go to Manchester. That was honestly not the performance that we expected from them. In fairness, Knock Knock were very much fighting for their lives, essentially needed that win. Now it becomes quite daunting. I think a loss tonight for Knock Knock could be the end for them if Daystar do go on and beat Hissib Warriors. So interesting ramifications to come later on tonight. As for Gelida, well, we saw them yesterday take on Bleed. They weren't awful. They did struggle to attack on Club, got a couple of defensive rounds themselves, but in the end, Bleed were too strong. On that one, 7-4. They do begin on the defense this time, though, on Bank. First time played this stage of the Asia League. I actually wore my Chalet jumper tonight as much as you meme me for it, Guz, as being the only jumper I own, I wore it for the reason that we've seen Chalet 8 times this stage. The next most played map's 3. So I thought, hey, I may as well just get in and fit in with the league. But hey, first map up is a map we haven't actually seen this stage at all in Bank.
Yeah, so in terms of the bans, they'll come through. Monty is second most banned here in Asia at 50%, just trailing behind Ying. Twitch is the second least banned at a 10% ban rate. But you think about Basement, Mirror, put those together, Twitch is going to be a good counter, and taking her off the board will fortify that. In terms of defensive bans, Kaid taken off the board. Very, very common on Banks, more specifically, due to the hatch-centric nature, kind of like Oregon Basement as well. Final ban will come through. It'll probably be something related to information gathering or denial, and it is that Solace. And I guess following on in terms of just numbers and just, again, reiterating the stakes for this matchup, both teams, for all intents and purposes, locked in top 6. A loss here, Gelida would still be at a 97% chance of qualifying. Dial's at 99.99. So it would have to be an absolutely ridiculous string of results for neither team to make top 6. So, again, pretty much locked in. But a regulation win for Divers actually keeps them with the 1 in 3 chance of still making top 2. Now, obviously, they have Elevate in the final play day. They would still need other results to go their way. But just something to keep in mind that, yes, top 6, relatively confirmed, but maybe a little bit more to fight for Divers. They've got a point to prove that they deserve, to be in the discussion for the major slot. And on top of that, top 2 is still a prospect they could be fighting for.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, and in terms of that, relegation potential, what would essentially have to happen is both Knock Knock and Daystar ending up above one of Gelida and Direwolves. That would be very difficult, and I'm pretty sure, actually, mathematically, by the end of tonight, that will then become no longer a factor, provided at least one of them lose, Knock Knock playing Fury, and then Daystar playing Hasib Warriors. So as we get into Bank, first game of the night, both teams 3-2, 1 point separating them. At the moment, Direwolves in 4th. I know the desk kind of touched on the playoffs and where you kind of want to sit, 2nd or 3rd. Otherwise, you're essentially going to be in 1st. I imagine 6th is probably not a position either of these two teams will fall to, which does kind of mean getting into that 3rd position certainly going to be, one, tricky because you've already got a very stacked top 3, Bleed, Elevate, and Fury. That essentially then means you need to win your remaining 2 games to have any kind of chance. For Gelida, they actually play Knock Knock next week. They'll go into that as heavy favorites. So win tonight. If anyone's to do it, it could be Gelida, but they are also 1 point behind Direwolves. Direwolves with the worst round differential as well out of the entire top 5. Kind of mentioned that a few times last night. That was something they kind of needed to rectify against Knock Knock. Struggled to do so. Only picked up the 3 extra rounds in their 7-4 win, as we've already got a very swift entry. Top square towards Janitor. Pika gets the opening kill onto Sapper. He was certainly one of the standouts for Direwolves yesterday in their win against Knock Knock. Pika was really leading from the front. Jogor started 0-5 and then eventually got his way back into a good position. And he's on the docker beat and will make good entries for Direwolves throughout this game. Coupled with that Ying, they've got themselves good execution for sight eventually. Pika anticipating maybe a swing top blue stairs, but I doubt DCH really needs to swing this. Instead, just holding close with the shotgun.
Yeah, Sapper, unfortunate not to win that fight. It was off the proxy info. So he had the initiation, but it was a equally good read from Pika to win that opening duel. Keeps the hard breach up as well. Doubling down on Felix with the Habana. Miss Punch taken down low. That was Seal on the boost angle. That position, though, now forfeited by the defense. Blue hold, though, still in play, as we can see in the pip. That being locked down still by Pika, who's making sure that nobody pushes up through there. With the Ying in play, flushing that out is an option. Still 2 Candelas for Seal, who takes open control. As you can see, the hatch already opened up by Gelida, using that as a fall-off route. Will expedite things a little bit more for Divers in the late round. Less pressure on the Habana to open up that particular hatch, although the other office hatch is still reinforced. Blue push now to come through, or at least the preparation for it. DCH is locked at the bottom of the stairs with that hatch opened up. And so Seal will need to be the playmaker here with those Candelas.
Yeah, not a lot of time remaining in this round. Gasbabe, last one thrown out. Candela not pushed on immediately by Seal, but a short delay. Actually makes his way top blue and down into server that got a bit of control. Castle barricade should get opened up pretty comfortably. Gelida down just the 3 players. Good pressure from Direwolves. Cleared one above, eventually dealt with blue stairs. 20 seconds remaining. IDFC over towards Beepers, wants to go for this flank late in the round. Souffle holds close and swings at just the right time, expecting the drop from Stock as well. And Gelida's attempt to try and take Hatch back up again, well, it has not paid dividends at all. Double kill for Mr. Punch. The plant was still going down anyway, and more than enough bodies on site to cover. Seal gets the final kill. Really well worked round by Direwolves.
Yeah, really clean and concise. Good entry pick there. Sapper, again, he was swinging off proxy info, but lost that fight. Don't know if there's equally good information on the board for the attack, but Pico was very conscious of that swing Jan. Unlocked that. Open area then wasn't particularly contested by Gelida, so they were able to get control there. Ying got a lot of value then over through blue. And so there weren't many conditions remaining there for the defense to be able to bring that round back. So a failed roam, round number 1. And positive signs for Direwolves, who at times have struggled in the face of these kinds of setups. Really good double as well from Souffle to note. There was that flank potential down through Stock, but able to dismiss that. And they really didn't put a foot wrong in that round.
It was one that was probably a little difficult to predict. Right, was Direwolves and Gelida. Pretty certain I went the way of Gelida. Direwolves themselves yesterday didn't really fill me with much optimism coming into this game. Admittedly, when they're on, they are a very strong team. Gogor and Pika, Souffle especially. I mean, you've got some really talented players on this Direwolves roster. And at times, Gelida are actually the kind of team that can really have an off night. Claymore's outside for any potential vaults and jump outs. Heavy repel round here from Direwolves over towards CEO. Imagine they'll eventually turn their attention over towards top square as well. Once they deal with the utility, get themselves pretty much full control of this airlock. Lots of drones going in as well early from Direwolves. No response from Gelida. They do have 2 Nitro cells, DCH and IDFC, 2 players to kind of keep an eye on, as they certainly can deal with those repel players.
Yeah, it's a good info gathering from Seal. We'll spot the one in Jan. They don't have displace U2 like a Capital, for instance, to be able to flame that out. And so it could be a position that the likes of DZH can actually fortify and play off. Double hard breach, though, available for Direwolves. And we'll see that into full effect over towards that Stock wall. That will nullify the position behind the shield, weaken the hallway. Rest of the team then can look to maybe push top square and get some ground. Elsewhere, Mr. Punch able to find Souffle. I suppose he was on that lobby repel. Good angle to shut down, of course. Pressure alleviated, and that actually does allow the likes of IDFC now to get a little bit more active towards his front desk position, but immediately air jabbed off. Seal conscious of that. So, I mean, there's a big onus here on the likes of Jogor, etc., through Stock, through top square, to bring this round back, but it's going to be quite challenging.
$60 seconds remaining. Pretty default standard push now from Direwolves, where it's all about top square, open up sight and sight lines as much as possible, kit in that direction, I would imagine. Yellox actually got himself into a position where he is on that top square looking to make entry. Mark from blue shoots out the flank watch drone, has a couple of players up above, knows there's one on the repel that wants to eventually make entry. Not sure exactly where Felix is going. Was top square, then went back out. Nice little push down to bot square from Joe, gets the kill onto Mark, anticipating one to go for the flank, and then gets the second on the DCH. 20 seconds left. And so far, Direwolves. Oh, there's another one. Well, that's one spotted. Bomb chassis, deep sight. Long desk pressure from Mr. Punch for Gelida once again, losing bodies on sight.
Oh, he saw him.
Janitor is going to be Sapper as the solo remaining. At this point, just has to hide. Felix, though, yeah, he will get the plant down. So now he can't just hide in Janitor. 2 versus 1. It will be a post-plant retake as well for Sapper. He's not exactly sure, though, where this has been planted, playing off a little information. But eventually, a little turn of the head does spot Felix. Position should be known here of Sapper. And yeah, Pika should have been completely aware as to where that solo player was remaining. Direwolves get themselves another round win, and Gelida's defense for the second round in a row. That's been kind of just torn apart.
Yeah, close clutch there in the end. Peak, very low on HP with the pistol out, but able to win it. Gelida throwing that round, unfortunately. 5 versus 3. IDFC goes for the jump out, gives a free pick to the player on the roof, so 4v3. Then we saw Mark, I believe it was through blue, flanking. He gave away his sound cue and then remained in that position. It was also still on drone, I believe. There was a yellow ping. So 3 versus 3. That was that kill there. We then saw the freebie inside of Jan. This one a little bit more forgivable as DCH was trying to be mindful of the Jan door push. Sapper then left on a bit of an island. I think just prior to this, before the plane actually went down, he did actually see the player with the fuser and didn't register it. So that may have changed the tide of the round, but either way, early round was good. Unfortunately, just over-aggressing and Die was punishing.
Yeah, been the better team so far, the Direwolves for sure.
10 seconds left before insertion.
No real information on Bank for this stage, since this is the first time that we've seen it from any team in the Asia League. Hard to know if attack will be far more prevalent than defense. I think you can always just assume to default to defense in this current meta of Siege. But so far, good start. Certainly for Direwolves. Stogor also getting on the board in that round with a nice double kill, especially watching that flank bot square.
A bomb has been located.
Just not really sensing any kind of urgency from Gelida on the defense. It's all kind of stock standard default. When they do go for things, it's mainly in response to losing a player. So it's very much defense first mentality and then response second. Would just like to see them be maybe a little bit more aggressive from the onset. Looks like a bit of a roam game employed here. At least a bit more of a vert hold. DCH over towards closet, janitor with that mirror window. Staff an open area for this round. Does typically employ vert holds up above. Mark literally on an island. And that keeper barrier. Very interesting off angle. Watching in towards bot square. DCH somehow taking half damage already. Does have a nitro. Sapper over towards front desk on this lobby Belk, but Souffle's caught him on the rappel. Something that Sapper should have been a little bit mindful of, especially if mezzanine wall, if the Canto wall is getting opened up. And you know someone's on that rappel, and you know that's not really going to be a safe position.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue that Gelida are facing at the moment. It's giving away free uncontested picks. And on entry, especially, that can be really, really difficult to then recover from if Direwolves are able to snowball map control. They're taking that slowly at the moment, as we could see on the overhead. Gelida have fallen back. Again, it's an open area defense here, and that vertical control can definitely be useful. Seal gets another, that's marked to fall. 0 and 3 to kick off proceedings. And with 2 Candelas still in the pocket, could execute utility available. They'll lurk up main stairs. A lot of good moving pieces here for Direwolves.
Yeah, and this is the third round in a row where this has not really been a contest from Gelida. They're 2 players down for the third time. That's an easy swing. High ground advantage for Fearlux. Mr. Punch was never really going to be the likely of the two to win that battle. Direwolves, once again, looking very clinical on their attacks. IDFC trying to challenge, but never really in a position where he was going to come out on top against a player like Jogo. It's flawless. I imagine we'll see a tactical timeout from Gelida. Can't imagine they'd be too happy with the defense here on Bank. I'm not really anticipating. I mean, you might disagree, but I don't think this is going to end up being defender-sided. I think Direwolves are... Sorry, I mean, not attacker-sided. I think Gelida are just kind of getting stomped right now, and it's been quite poor. The Direwolves, yeah, very good entries. They're executing really well. Using their numbers advantages too. Once they get vert, they push site. Yeah, it's all pretty default for a Direwolves side that actually looked quite poor yesterday. Honestly, their game against Knock Knock, they looked at C. Maybe that was a game that sort of woke them up a little bit heading into the playoffs, knowing that they had to play better, and so far they are against a far better opponent as well in Gelida. They've made them look quite second-rate. And they can double down with that flawless round there halfway through this opening half.
Yeah, we haven't seen a convincing brand of Direwolves throughout this stage, and that is reflected by their +5 round differential, which is trailing the top 3 by, you know, at least 5 rounds to Fury, directly above them, as much as 11 rounds with Bleed on +16. So that reflects just how close a lot of these rounds, or pardon me, a lot of these matches have been for them throughout the stage. yesterday, as you mentioned, a little bit of a shaky result in a match that should have been quite dominant. This one's shaping up to be already more dominant than that one, perhaps. I mean, a 3-0 perfect start on attack, regardless of the map, outside of maybe like a border, is impressive. And then forcing Gelida into a lot of unforced errors, which is giving them strong advantages in the late round. That's been the case in 2 of these 3 rounds so far, and even the second, in which they didn't have a strong early advantage, they were still able to fight their way back. So there's no real need for Divals to change the game plan all too much. Onus on Gelida, who elected not to take their tactical timeout, so we'll see if that proves costly.
Yeah, it puts an emphasis that maybe not too concerned opening 3 rounds. I mean, in theory, you either take it early or late. At this point, you're 3 rounds through. Usually a good opportunity when you've kind of seen the first 3 rounds. You've got 3 more to go in the half. Okay, let's talk things over. Do we want to change up our approach, especially since we're going back to these bomb sites, lockers and CCTV? ECH last time was overwhelmed. Blue Stairs didn't really get any help. And Gelida very much employing a big flank to try and bring the round back. Lost one early at Janitor, so this time they're not really showing as much presence up above. Ika by himself. Don't really want to challenge Blue Stairs by yourself. Always better to just go through the checklist, open up that hatch, spot square, pinch the player at blue, use your numbers, use your utility flashes, and one of the better ways to clear that position, especially with no deployable shield. It is quite vulnerable for DCH. Needs to be careful. Last time lost his life here. Zoto canisters delaying over towards admin. Still 60 seconds though. 2 more Zotos. Vulcan canisters will eventually have to be dealt with as well. And the gas babes of DCH. Honestly, at this point, if I'm DCH, I fall off this. I don't think you need... I mean, he's kind of castle barricaded off, so he's... I guess his goal here is to delay the push into server as long as possible. He will die, but I guess it's a matter of what can he take with him.
Yeah, if he can soak up some Candela util and take one with him to the grave, it's not the end of the world. Hatch open means that he can't risk going back to racks. Pika will look to now lurk in and pinch. So DCH will be pressured from 2 positions. The onus on Divals to time this well. Mr. Punch elsewhere does find the first, so Gelida in a good spot.
Yeah, not a lot of time remaining. Well, DCH can't win that close battle. Nicely pushed by Seal. And still has 3 Candelas as well. Opening up from server. Nice shot from Mr. Punch. And I do imagine the Vulcan canisters have only just now been blown up, and so therefore no real time remaining in the round for Direwolves. The first time that Gelida have looked a hell of a lot better on their defense. Far more calculated. How these key positions certainly delayed. Far better than what we saw in some of the earlier rounds, and I think a reason for that is just simply kept it more basic. Didn't put a player up in Janitor, didn't try and contest square. Really was a more simplified hold, and I think also a large portion of that round was the Zoto canisters towards the admin hatch, and Direwolves just kind of sitting there wasting time waiting for those Zoto canisters to dissipate.
Yeah, I think it staggered the push pretty significantly. Understandably, our focus was over towards that Blue Stairs hold. In the meantime, there was that early entry onto Souffle. Not entirely sure how or where he died, but that was, a big bolster for Gelida's chances in winning that round out. Eventually forced into a very late hatch job, significant man disadvantage. Dai was stalled out in that round. I think if they had their time over, they'd probably think about advancing blue a little bit earlier on into the piece. And maybe forcing out some stall util before the hatch got opened up, or whilst it was being opened up. Maybe making it more challenging for the tuber round. Either way,
10 seconds left before insertion.
it's only 1 round for Gelida on the favoured
5
side.
seconds left before insertion.
They need to keep this momentum going. Realistically, to be fair, I think 3-3 has to be the benchmark for them now. So back to top floor we go. And last time, Gelida had a big advantage going into the late round, where unfortunately they then faltered. So let's see how they go about achieving that advantage this time and then maintaining it.
Yeah. Don't know if that's going to be the mantra though in terms of keeping what works for Gelida on the Vigil. They're going to look for early contests, then that's kind of what was not working for them in the opening 3 rounds. I was a bit prepared for that though. Back onto the Dockerby Souffle operating. And Jogor actually on hard breach, interestingly enough, considering he's usually one that will play Dockerby, for example. Pika already just kind of getting a glimpse over towards that janitor hallway. Airlock being heavily defended, Mark up close, very low on the army. He's just been taking chip damage after chip damage, and same with now IDFC. Exactly, entirely sure where all of this is coming from. I imagine the repels. Zappa. Well, that's a freebie with the Boss G. Never got droned out on the Vigil, lurking in lone. Very fortunate that, yeah, Pika just goes wandering. 90 seconds in the round, and Gelida, well, so far, have got a big win condition, and that is the Vigil. Needs to be dealt with. Not really in a hurry, though, the Direwolves to rush over towards Sapper's position and take him out. Yeah, Souffle going garage, I imagine. Up main.
Yeah, I mean, Sapper just needs to chill in lone. I thought maybe Sapper would be looking, Souffle would be looking to actually directly contest that, but you're right, we'll look main. There's good reads, though, available for the defense with those yokais up on the Echo. It really doesn't feel like a great round at the moment for Direwolves unless Souffle is able to really pull something off there. It does Logic Bomb. So that information isn't being held, and Souffle might be able to sneak up. Doesn't even need to. Seal and Felix combined, so it's a 4v3. Sapper is able to retake up Banana, though, but about to be swung to the right in a moment. I think there was a player there. Maybe not.
I think it was Souffle. I think he died. I'm pretty sure he died.
Yeah,
I think you were right, and he just happened to die at the moment before he could swing. Gelida getting involved as well. And that is, yeah, very, very weird round. A little bit back and forth, but for the most part, it never really looked like Direwolves had any kind of real good positioning, map control, wandering around aimlessly. Yeah, decent little push-up main stairs off the back of the Logic Bomb kind of got them back into the round. I think at that point, they even had the man advantage. Souffle went to, I think, push towards Elevator and eventually then lost his life. We'll get ourselves probably a rehost here. We have a player that has crashed out, unfortunately. 3-2, final round of this half. Direwolves have kind of just let their lead slip away. Gelida fighting back. Took basement, took top floor. Now they'll go to staff and open area. Close out this half, and I think 3-3 is probably the kind of scoreline that, yeah, isn't going to be so bad on Bang. I said before, I don't think it'll be defender-sided. I didn't think it was going to be super attacker-sided either, and I think a 3-3 scoreline would probably bode well for Gelida. And that's sort of par for the course, pass mark, if you will. The Direwolves, I think the disappointment should be more so on them after a 3-0 lead. They're just letting things slip a little bit, and a lot of their dominance, map control, all just kind of evaporating after they got 3-0 up. And credit to Gelida doing this without that tactical timeout, understanding what they needed to fix and change without even needing that break. Has definitely worked well for them.
Yeah, that last round in particular really lacked any sort of structure, really, especially comparatively to what we saw before. Didn't help that they bled that pick early in towards lone. Well played by Sapper to stay undetected on the Vigil. Naturally, then Direwolves were forced into lurk plays, and the Logic Bomb actually did somewhat facilitate that initially. But because they were so scattered, eventually they were isolated. And yeah, can't really look to cheese Gelida too much, as shown in the last couple of rounds. So a good fight back from Gelida. Did feel like the match was starting to really lose a bit of control. And especially after losing the first 3 rounds defensively, it would have been obviously a good time to take that tactical timeout, or at least many teams would. They elected not to. And if they end up evening out the half, pocketing that for later could actually be quite influential.
Yeah, not sure if we're any closer to this being sorted. Still missing from the lobby. Yeah, hard to probably imagine who's really going to be the favorite of the two teams going into the second half. A Direwolves team that, yeah, started a lot better. But we've already seen so far in this stage, their best is good, but they do have moments of weakness. I think more so than the other top 5 teams. Hopefully that's some good news if Souffle can reconnect in promptly and we can get back underway to close out this opening half. Half an open area, of course, the site that we will be going to. And we can get back underway. In terms of also, I guess, who's got more on the line, Gelida do play Knock Knock next week, so that's a game that, I mean, you would argue 3 points should be accumulated.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
But by that
remaining
point, those
bombs.
3 points might not be enough to really get them into the top 3, which is where you really need to be, second, third at minimum. You do want to avoid bleed for as long as possible. If the goal really is going to be third, then you've got to overtake, you know, one of Fury or Elevate. And for Direwolves, that means that a win here, you take on Elevate next week. Mind you, Elevate take on Bleed tonight. So every chance, if you're Direwolves, and you win this game tonight, guys, Elevate lose to Bleed, you beat Elevate then again next week, and you could be sitting in third. I imagine Fury should be very much hard favorites for second, having got Knock Knock and Hasib Warriors as their last 2 games. So for Direwolves, I'm going to say more on the line for them tonight. I think they can gain that third place finish. I don't know if Gelida can. So therefore, more at stake for Direwolves to close this game out.
Poor. Well, that was ambitious from DCH. Immediately punished. Direwolves switched on here off the back of the technical pause. And that's any potential for the Vigil to lurk around, stall out time, and make things more challenging for the map clear now very quickly diminished. So good work there from the attack. Jogor immediately responds by droning forward. And I don't think this is a very expansive roam. Oh, I say that, but Sapper's very much on an island in CEO. That should be a free kill. No, it's not.
Oh, wow.
Well, he's gotten away with that one, for sure.
Nice turnaround from Sapper. Not very easy when you're getting fired at. You got to figure out where you're getting shot from. Quick turnaround. Understands he's on the rappel. Nice shot. MP7, and yeah, that's forward versus 4. No Ying available now for Direwolves. No Candelas, but also don't have to worry about the Vigil. Henry is also quite low. That's something that can easily be commed. Seal will say he's half. He's lower than half as well. Over 90 seconds remaining in this final round of the half, and to Gelida's credit, they certainly have turned things around. They finished the job in the half, putting themselves in a much better position going into the second half, needing a bunch of attacking rounds. Cool finding these cams with the IQ. Slow and steady, certainly once again from Direwolves, not wanting to overdo it, not going for that direct approach, instead making sure they get through the checklist.
Now 60 seconds then, Logic Bomb rains out and Jogor can play off that sound cue. Double teaming with the Dokkaebi. That's Souffle on main stairs. Elsewhere, Pika looking to flush out on the vert, and there is a player on an island here from the defense. Jogor gets that info. It's IDFC, and this is a key fight. As we enter the latter portion of the round, IDFC pops up though, finds the head. So that's clean work from him to lock down Towers. Divers will need to try and exploit elsewhere.
Yeah, not a lot of time to do so, and without some of their top fraggers as well. Jogor, Seals had a great game. Dropped down from Pika, F not mine. A little bit of annoyance there. And Sapper on site has been able to now find his third kill of the game. I guess leaving him alive has proved to be very costly. And Pika will eventually lose his life to Sapper, who finds a quad in this round on the Fenrir. Well, it's one of those kind of catch-22 moments. He honestly could have died all the way up in CEO earlier in the start of that round. Guys, had he done so, well, he wouldn't have gotten a 4K. A big let-off, and yeah, he goes and makes them pay. 3-3 half, going to the second. Now onto the defense, though, for Dials, but you've also lost 3 rounds in a row. So need to rebound, need to keep focus. Lockers and CCTV to begin this second half.
Yeah, really strong reflection there, I think, of the comp experience that Gelida have, not letting the first 3 rounds dictate the match all too much. Able to recover, didn't burn their tactical time out. definitely looked stronger towards the latter portion of the half as well. So well played. As I mentioned, there's that quote-unquote 50-50 fight. I would say it was probably about 75% in favor of Seal. Just one of those fights sometimes in Rainbow Six doesn't go your way, and I wouldn't blame him for being frustrated. And on top of that, the fact is that Sapper went on for the multi as well. Certainly rubbed salt in the wounds there for Direwolves in that round. No, there's nothing they can do about that. Now, round number 7, so the second half, basement first attempt here from the Direwolves. As expected, we'll see the mirror in play with the Twitch band out. Valkyrie also played here, and Gelida electing not to bring IQ.
Yeah, interesting, no smoke from Direwolves. The only real proper delay they've got as well is really those Vulcan canisters from Soufflé. And Gelida have kind of got the perfect looking lineup as well to challenge this round. Mr. Punch just feeling the pressure as he's got himself into what's racks. Now they're starting to all push him, retake this position inside a server. Well, he did take Jogor with him and a decent pick onto the Warden. Glasses will not be employed, and Soufflé over towards ATMs is unable to make contact with IDFC, who used his logic bomb perfectly to flush out that position. Soufflé to fall back through archives, has got some help as well waiting in open. They can go down the hatch if they want. Still 2 minutes in the round though. And shot. Oh, outside printer, that's an easy kill for TCH and gives Gelida the man advantage. Pika stays looking to contest up in towards stock. Impact is decent, gets marked to half health. Through beep as he goes, but yeah, just carelessly wandering around the map at the moment, Direwolves, and it's a symptom of what we saw from them in their attacking half. Their map presence and game sense is just off in comparison to Gelida. Felix and Theo, last 2 remaining, both with nitro cells. 90 seconds left, and Felix may be thinking if he can get a kill, beepers could get the round back in their way.
Yeah, Felix forced back. It's double stack over towards main stairs for Gelida, preventing the retake and the flank opportunity. So they'll need to bunker down, try and isolate picks. They have Goyo canisters to play off. But an advanced position here to try and catch an attacker off guard is probably the play. So Seal will reposition. Now with blue control. And if he's not being held, oh. Well, he was, but he still wins the fight. That's 2. Puts pressure now on those in open to make sure that he is not pushing through. And Seal will just crouch forward, take control bot square, diffuser on the ground.
Yeah, very winnable round if Seal can win this battle over towards square. Or if he does elect to try and push in. I think he's going to have to go for a flank, otherwise he's just going to leave Fairlax completely by himself. Andela's going in. Nicely timed here from Seal. Should catch 1 or 2. Does get them both. 4 in the round. Mark now by himself. Coming through loading docks. Felix doesn't even give his teammate any kind of chance of picking up the ace. Not messing around, not at this level. Direwolves do take the round. Despite the deficit they found themselves in, 2-4. Really good fight back. That's why you never give up on these kind of rounds. And Gelida will be kicking themselves. An opportunity missed after a hard-fought round. Got themselves into a good position. Honestly thought they roam cleared really, really well. Should honestly be up 4-3, but yeah, credit to Seal and Fairlux holding down the fort. And 2 versus 4, they win it. Direwolves get their 4th round.
Yeah, both teams now pocketing a round that wasn't really theirs to win towards the late round. We had one in the first half going the way of Direwolves, and well, I guess this one was also theirs too. So it's actually 2 the way of Direwolves. The one above was Pika with the pistol clutch. And we talked a little bit there in the mid round that the map presence and presence of mind too from Direwolves was a little bit weak, and that was evident in the amount of uncontested fights that they lost, with players getting shot and not responding. Fortunately for Gelida, then falling victim of that through open area with a really good flank from Seal. So some solid work there from Direwolves. They found themselves in a very awkward position, but able to fight back. So, fortunate for Gelida. Again, they still have their tactical, but they elect to pocket it. Waiting for this rotation to play through. Top floor we go. And the Deimos in play. We're also going to see the Cap Tower to dislodge Jan. Nook for Loke potential, probably through basement. So again, there's going to be a lot of moving parts to this attack for Gelida, and we'll come down to timing and coordinating that properly.
Bomb located by attackers.
It's been a very slow-paced game from these two as well, considering it is bank. Slow entries, not really looking to push quickly. No real contest either from defense in terms of entry denial. Spawn peaks, no funny-looking jump outs, run outs, or anything of that kind. It does kind of just feel like the kind of game where both teams very much just playing quite professionally. Not wanting to be the first one to really make a mistake that could get potentially punished. Being tracked at the moment is Seal, 10-4. Only playing inside of the server with double-digit kills. Sapper, though, not too far off it. Wants to try and find an angle. Maybe follow up on that death mark up. Banana, IDFC. One, then maybe two. No, Joe Gore able to survive, half health. And with 90 seconds remaining in the round, once again, it's a tied-looking scoreline. DCH going for the play inside of CEO. No one looking to deny it. It is going to actually just be the Yokai that does deny. You can hear it. The burst off into the background. Felix was able to push DCH off of that plant. Mark making it a little bit annoying to try and push through. Zappa still with one more available, which is just on temporary cooldown. And Zappa does get the kill onto Pika, 3 versus 3 with the minute remaining.
I mean, the Deimos has been able to provide good pressure, but Souffle not exposed to the vert. Nothing Sapper has been able to do to dislodge that. The onus was on the rest of the team, unable to achieve that goal. So 1v3. And I would anticipate that Direwolves are going to win another round, and surely at this point will prompt the attack from Gelida. You haven't found the same proficiency here on attack after winning the last 3 defensive efforts in that first half. 30 seconds for Sapper. A grenade to clear the stock shield. It lands, but he needs to find Souffle, who's had a good round so far.
Yeah, no time really remaining either for Sapper. 1 versus 3. You never want to count a player out, but yeah, when you're heading in towards red time in a 1v3, no real idea as to where the Direwolves are holding. Always going to make it difficult. Yeah, I have to question if the Deimos had as much impact as we maybe saw in that round. Certainly the death mark's annoying and Sapper playing off them, but overall for the team perspective of Gelida, I'm not too sure if they got a lot of value. Yeah, 5-3, tactical timeout now gets called by Gelida. Down a couple of rounds. Again, kind of preface before, I think there's a lot more riding on this game for Direwolves. They've got themselves a very good opportunity, provided Elevate lose to Bleed later tonight. Then you play Elevate next week, and well, truthfully, the winner of that game will get third and avoid Bleed on the side of the playoffs bracket. So, just a bit more to fight for. For Gelida, it's a far more difficult task. Essentially, it's out of their hands. I mean, even if they beat Direwolves and then beat Knock Knock next week, you would still need results to go your way with Fury and Elevate. So, yeah, probably less pressure for them. 4th, 5th really won't make a difference. Considering 4th and 5th will play each other in the playoffs, so it's not like there's any kind of home field advantage or anything along those lines in esports. Biggest difference would actually just be prize money, a couple of grand, and 5 SI points. Half an open area now into the 9th round off the back of this tactical timeout for Gelida. They do drop the Deimos. Of course, attack and repeat could bring it back, but yeah, I'm not too sure if it really had that much effect.
So an important round then for Gelida. Everyone's open area. Direwolves win this. It's 3 match points. Really then would chip away at any opportunity, any outside opportunity, as it already is for Gelida to finish top 2. Gelida win in regulation, 12% down to 6% in overtime. Already clutching at straws, but certainly wouldn't help their cause if Direwolves are able to mount another round in this match. For both teams, again, to reiterate, it's a bit of a formality in terms of the top 6. Although both teams can confirm their position in the top 6 100% with a win. So that's something that they'll be able to take away. And then, as mentioned a couple times, finishing 3rd then becomes quite a tasty prospect, really, in terms of that favorable seeding. Looking to avoid bleed for as long as possible. You certainly have been dangerous in the league as expected. For this round specifically, though, in terms of lineup, we're going to see the Dockerby Persist being quite a popular pick here on Bank, aiding in the roam clear, getting information, denying potential info, gathering tools for Direwolves, although they're not electing to bring the likes of a Valk or an Echo or even a Maestro this round. Interestingly, we do see the Bandit in play, so there'll probably be presence Quad War. Impact EMPs, though, are available in the hands of IDFC.
Opening kill for Mark, who's had a struggling performance so far, 2-7. Just his second kill of this game, but a very important one for Gelida off the back of the tactical timeout. IDFC just lurking over towards the stairs. Yeah, he can train himself forward. 90 seconds left once again. Another very slow-paced round from these two teams. Direwolves not really wanting to do a whole lot on the defense. Nitrocell, though, from Felix does actually catch Mark and get the kill. A lot of these rounds have, quite honestly, played very similar. Opening kill, then the trade, 20-30 seconds later. ECH opening up in towards admin. Little sightline. With the kit in hand, over towards Beepers now. He rotates. Keep a barrier in place, can easily get shot out. Does. Now I like to do that. Cross was already made. A little lurk push now from Mr. Punch over towards site. But no movement at all from Direwolves, not wanting to put a foot wrong.
Yeah, Keeper Barriers being used to good effect from Seal to lock down that double door position. Mr. Punch, though, electing still to peek, anticipating a swing. No real incentive, though, for Direwolves to do so in the 4 versus 4. Last minute vert. Positions being held. DCH has that diffuser in hand. He'll look to try and play off this information he's just now garnered. As you can see, 2 players prone to the hard left of that entry doorway.
Yeah, it's just no time.
There's one more.
I mean, one more in the corner. Does get the kill. I mean, Direwolves, honestly, have just kind of lost this round themselves. Nice little shot from Tilt. Then with the pistol. Gets a second, but the kill eventually comes through from IDFC. Scrappy round. At some point in that round, like with 30 seconds to go, Direwolves have just got to do something. Like, they're just sitting on site, doing nothing. Full map control for Gelida. Eventually able to get themselves everything that they want. Opening up admin. They've opened up floorboards up. Like they can play hatch drop. They can push through beepers. So many avenues in towards site. Direwolves, especially when it's staffed an open area. Like, it's just... Yeah, it's a strange way to defend that site. And it does not work for them at all. And they got slaughtered. So many different entry points. They're all just sitting in corners, like, huddled in. Like, look at DCH. Like, at that point, he's cleared everything. So once you're sitting in that corner, he's already cleared. It's not a case of, oh, how did you know we're there? It's like, he's already cleared everything else. Where else are you going to be? Ah, it's just strange.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised they double stacked it. And, I mean, honestly, it actually almost worked. Pika just whiffed the trade, in which case they may have been in a far better position, but... Yeah, even still, they were then reliant on the pistol play, which was, again, immediately traded because Gelida had worked the advantage, so...
5 seconds to go.
Yeah, it was a very peculiar way to defend.
Defuse the bomb.
Quite static, very defensive. Doesn't work out. Gelida to unlock it. And we go down below then for the 10th round. Must have some good info. It's a quick entry in towards open area off the back of the Lion scan. And DCH very quickly should be able to get to work on these hatches.
Yeah, and I think hopefully they do, because this is probably one of the swifter entries that we've seen from either of these two teams. Straight in, open area, double hatch gets opened up, beautiful pressure early. And the way the Direwolves have also been playing, they're probably just going to sit all 5 on site. You got one at Rax and one bot blue, but that, I mean, it counts to basically site when it comes to lockers and CCTV. All 5 down below in the basement, that's the main area of defense.
I don't know if they got sight hatch. They were looking to Arena trick it. I assume it sounds like it's been open. I don't know if that soaked up much util, but wasted perhaps a little bit of time. See if they was underneath that, just triggering the gate on and off, which eventually did get burnt. Although DCH still with 4 X-Kairos, so he'll be able to get all the hatches he needs. So that's an even trade for both teams. Now, Goyo canisters are in play, and so that will need to be dealt with. Without the Twitch, again, that makes it challenging. You need to force the hand of the defense to pop them themselves, and the best way to achieve that is by early pressure in towards the objective. We can see the flames then expended. There is that second layer, though, of the Maestro cams as well for plant denial. Smoke's deployed. There's a warden in play, though, but it is sealed to find the first.
Mark through elevator on the drop, one in towards Vault. Never really checked him and never really cleared him. And this attack from Gelida has been largely dealt with. Missed the punch at least in lockers, and good for a second in quick succession. 3 in the round. DCH also gets 1, and Peak is by himself in admin watching hatch, and is probably wondering to everyone, well, what the hell just happened? Double red ping, so he'll feel as if maybe this is winnable. Doesn't need to really worry too much about that plant. Nitro Cell, they are very much both low on health. Could easily get the job done here. Need to be making sure that they do not allow Pika to have 2 1v1 opportunities, and he does not even get that opportunity. Swings the hallway doorway instead. Yeah, nicely done from Gelida. I mean, at first it kind of looked like their attack was just going to fizzle out, but they hit some really good shots as they entered in. A lot more vault pressure, elevated pressure certainly was also something I'm not too sure if Direwolves were ready to contend with. We saw initially in that round they had a server stack. And so if you've got a couple of players over on that server blue stairs side, it's very easy for the back of site to get overwhelmed. If they do push vault, they do push elevator, they do push main stairs. And in the end, that was the goal for Gelida.
Yeah, just some big forceful fights. One there. Missed a punch. Gifted 2. 417 used to good effects. The 1v2 quite volatile though towards the end, but Gelida didn't offer those isolated picks. Played together, reacted to that information. Did some good work in that round to close it out. And in doing so, now even at scoreline 5 apiece. Reattempt down below. We'll see what Direwolves look to change up. They dropped the Aruni this time around. We'll see the 2 Barrel instead to stall out those hatches, I presume. I don't think they're going to execute a heavy roam. Last time, Gelida knew that there was absolutely no one off site. They capitalized upon that very early in open area. As I say that, though, barricades being established. There are roamers top floor. And so maybe we do see Direwolves contest this off-site a little bit more this time around.
Well, 5-5, breakpoint coming up. Win this round, you get yourself at least 1 point. Lose this round, you can no longer get all 3. So this is quite pivotal for Direwolves. If you lose this round, your ability to leapfrog elevate becomes so much more difficult. To the point, I think, of near on impossible. Max points they'd be able to get is 11, beat them. I mean, yeah, no, it'd be maybe still on. And at this point, might need it to still be on because they've lost an opening player already in Souffle. Okay.
He's trying to hit the vault prompt, but doesn't really matter anyway. Main stairs isn't being heavily contested by the defense, and Sapper can post up there. I'll be intrigued to see where they look to employ Candelas. They have the advantage, so it's really now just about avoiding the Warden as best as possible when the push does come through. Pika should certainly be conscious of that. He's already likely heard one of those Candelas go out, and we'll need to react to the Ying accordingly. In the meantime, Mr. Punch is well going to work on Cludge drones. Not really a whole ton of utility that he can look to directly contest. There is the BPC inside of the barrage. If he hacks that, then that could offer an opportunity for him to lurk forward. Also, he spots the 2 Barrel. There's an opportunity here for Mr. Punch to help solidify the round. He has already hacked that camera, and so he knows exactly where that defender is. Elsewhere, Fearlox falls, and the push comes through from Sapper.
Seal, Jogo, and Pika are going to have to just stand tall in towards Vault. Jogo does get 1. Seal losing his battle against Mr. Punch. Second of the round for him. Down to just Pika and Jogor, both still with a bit of utility. Keep Barrett available. Glasses, Nitrocell, impacts. Really not impossible. And long-range shots are just going to have to be tap. RDFC losing his life then to Jogor. Finds a second in Vault. 2-on-3 now. Mark now making the rotate. Beepers down to bot main. Certainly got multiple avenues. One in Vault, one in server, one towards main. No, not yet. DCH now going for the plant. And it's going to be a stack over towards this locker's side. Plant does go down successfully. Waited for Jogor to make that solo push. And Pika was never able to get himself out of CCTV in time to really help out. Caught in the hallway. On over that loading dock side. And this is going to be a Gelida 6-5 lead. I imagine Direwolves will call themselves a tactical timeout in response to losing this round. And with that, he cannot get all 3 points. And that is a big sting for Direwolves. I mentioned before in terms of, being able to overtake Elevate, what that kind of looks like. Well, the issue is also now what Gelida can do. If Gelida go on and win this game, they go to 11 points. They will then take on Knock Knock next week. And it basically means for Direwolves, they probably can't get top 3 at that point. Should mention an Elevate win over Direwolves next week, though, would mean even Gelida winning this and winning next week is still irrelevant. So, I mean, for Gelida, it's still out of their hands, but a much better position if they do close this out in regulation.
Yeah, it's been another good fight back here from Gelida in the second half, pretty akin to the first. Just having slightly better long-term endurance throughout this matchup. I was reading them early, but then in the long run, Gelida, a lot of that long-term experience, I think, shining through in this particular matchup. We'll see again, though, if that tactical will be enough. Second floor for the final round here of regulation. And big opportunity for Gelida to bolster themselves in the standings. Again, to note as well, with match being very close, regardless of how it ends from here, it's not going to do Direwolves many favors in terms of increasing round differential, even if they go on to win. That's why we can't really rely on that tiebreaker for them going forward, and why the top 4, or pardon me, the top 3 rather, looks highly unlikely. Means in terms of playoff seeding, there's every world in which they have, the tougher first match because it's 4th versus 5th, and that's then into bleed more than likely. So yeah, it's rough for Direwolves, but Gelida, I think, deserve this result. In the long run, throughout this match, they have looked better. And this time, we're going to see the Blitz thrown in. As mentioned, I believe, last night, for those unaware, in the latest bug patch, Blitz and Monty, or Shields in general, have been given a shadow buff. They are now able to kill any armored defender with 2 hits. Barbed wire also can be 2 hits, so that increases the mobility of shields and their lethality as well. And combine that with the Grim and the Ying, there's an opportunity for a lot of chaos to be thrown the way of Direwolves.
I think it's at the point now for Direwolves. They're just going to get a bit more aggressive on the defense. Far too stagnant. I love the lineups that I'm seeing from Gelida as well. The Blitz, is this going to catch Direwolves off guard? And even more so, if Direwolves aren't going to be aggressive here, if they're just holding these kind of positions, Kanto and Long Desk, makes it certainly a lot easier for Zappa to just rotate in, get the flash. Shields are deadly now as well. 2 hits to kill. Smoke. Over towards Elevator along with the frag. RDFC does get the opening kill. Claymore kill onto Pika after he, I imagine, jumped out to get that kill onto DCH. There is that Blitz employed toward front desk. Falling apart, Direwolves at the seams in this match after a 3-0 start. They have been absolutely torn apart. Losing 7 of the next 9 rounds. Gelida collect all 3 points in this one. And Direwolves have certainly got some soul searching to do after yesterday's poor performance against Knock Knock. Now losing to Gelida. Not really heading in the right direction for the playoffs. Gelida, on the other hand, though, are certainly. They take on Knock Knock next week. They'll need some help. They'll need some help from Elevate to maybe fall short if they're going to get top 3. But certainly for Gelida, picking up some good results to close out the group stage.
Yeah, and with that result, they are 100% confirmed for top 6. They don't have to worry about that. Top 2, though, still open for discussion. And I think, yeah, you said it exactly right. For Gelida, it's great. They showed today some good resilience, the ability to fight back. That's going to be super important in best of 3s. For Direwolves, today and yesterday certainly put a mar on their record. It does have some concerning points for me. And I think heading into the playoffs, which they should still make, of course, they need to tidy that up.
Yep, game 1 done. Back to the desk.
Well, it is a quick end, unfortunately, for what was a decent start for Direwolves. It looked pretty good for a while there, Mandy, but unfortunately, they just can't seem to get out of the way of themselves.
Yeah, I felt like once the side swap had happened, somehow Gelida just seemed to find their mojo, and I think Direwolves, they just struggled a little bit. I think keeping pace, there was just some small things that I think Gelida were doing to catch them off guard. And then from there on, the rounds seem to snowball from there. Once again, another very TDM-y match. That seems to be like the way to go every time we watch Direwolves play out. But yeah, I think Gelida ultimately coming out on top on a lot of those one-to-one gunfights and just small things that I think they weren't able to keep track of.
Dev, post-match now, all in hindsight, positive or negative for Direwolves?
A lot of positive. The first 3 rounds were massively dominant. Round 3 was flawless. So, yeah, starting on bank, starting on attack, coming out of the gate swinging, these are all really good signs for Direwolves. And the guys on the cast did mention the knock-knock game yesterday and said that was a disappointment. Yes, it was a victory. It was a 7-4. I don't want to, put too much bad mojo on Direwolves for that loss, but yeah, there's things that are missing with this team. Sometimes they do look to fall apart a little bit. They make some strange mid-round decisions, like getting really aggressive, or being disjointed in their aggression. And I would love to see them really watch the way Bleed play those kinds of situations, because Bleed always do it together. And I think Direwolves have some good ideas, but yeah, it's just about synergy, I think, that really set apart these two teams. You look at the end of that half, the second half, and the end of the game, Gelida 4 attack rounds in a row, and pretty much all of those were coming back from disadvantageous situations or capitalizing on a really nice plan. You think about that last round, it's basically just a frontside take with a couple of people rappelling on windows, but Gelida are playing together. You can't just send a blitz in and expect him to do work. No, the blitz didn't even get any kills, but he was enabling the other players. And that togetherness is something I really liked from Gelida, and unfortunately Direwolves had a few moments which were nice, but yeah, just not enough togetherness in a lot of them.
Well, I can tell you one thing. At the end, I saw the player cams going off for Gelida, whether they're having fun or not. They seem to be enjoying themselves. So let's welcome in IDFC for the second time on the broadcast. IDFC, look, it was a pretty scary start to the match, but overall, are you happy with the performance?
Yeah, we were pretty happy of the performance we got at the end. We still got the W, and we were really happy, to be honest. We doesn't feel bad. Yeah, it's a really good match here. It's a really fun match.
Yeah, it was a great match for you guys. IDFC, can you tell me about being down 3-0 and losing that flawless round? What changed for you guys to come back and then win 3 defenses in a row to really salvage that half?
So at first, when we got lead 3-0, we were trying to play more aggressive after that to kind of take the base easier and faster to make our team easier to execute the side.
Yeah, my question for you is, what do you think about the team's stamina at the moment? So you're about to enter into potentially the best of 3 phase at the moment. Do you think the team in its experience is going to be able to stand up to being able to play these long, drawn-out matches? Or do you think the best of 1s are where you're feeling more comfortable right now?
I mean, we are so confident on the best of 3 because we practice a lot on mini maps, and yeah, we all 5 are full of stamina and energy to win. We all have the same passion to win.
IDFC, we could see that at the end there. A lot of smiles, a lot of laughs for the whole team. What would you put the team environment like inside the house right now? Does it feel energetic? Does it feel happy?
It's fascinating. Everyone telling jokes and stuff. Yeah, we won somehow. We won. And shout out to Mr. Punch.
All that matters.
He's cooking.
Yeah. What did Mr. Punch do?
I mean, he's cooking the game. He's
Ah.
cooking real hard.
Yeah, hey, I can respect that. IDFC, anything you'd like to say before we let you go?
Yeah, a bad start from us, but we still got the dub. And yeah, thanks for the support, Gelida fans.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, IDFC. Best of luck in your final game next week.
Thanks.
Again, results matter, but for me, Mandy, and look, some people might be skewed in more performance based, but for me, I think a huge hallmark of a great team is their ability to enjoy each other's company. And while they are under the same roof, they're next to each other. They are, when you look on their player cams, they're smiling so much. And I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it definitely is good signs for this roster.
I agree with that. I think it definitely bodes well for the team. I think, yeah, having the team dynamic there where they're enjoying each other, they're calming well, the game is flowing, that type of stuff is really important, and building good team culture is super important. Now, I think in Asia, we actually get a lot of that to be pretty positive, to be honest. I think a lot of the players in this region have a really good outlook on the game and on their teammates. And so I think, especially from a new player like ADFC, who's only been in the Tier 1 phase for a lot shorter of a period of time than his teammates, it's good to see that he's so enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, he's definitely melded into that roster quite well, Dev, and it feels like, you know, Gelida, they've stumbled a little bit here and there, but overall, I mean, this has got to be looked at as a positive stage, right?
Very much, and I'm just having a look forward on the standings now and towards next week. Obviously, we've already mentioned that Gelida has one of their easier matches upcoming. The only remaining game for them in the round robin is against Knock Knock. They've now jumped over Direwolves, and they actually also jumped over Fury. So technically in third place for now. Obviously, Fury will definitely get points. They've got 2 of their easier games coming up as well. But I'm wondering like whether Gelida can sneak into the top 3. And for me, it potentially depends on how Elevate goes. Because there's actually a chance that Elevate drop down to 4th. If they struggle against Bleed today and then Direwolves take some points off them next week, then there's actually a very real possibility that the 1, 2, 3 looks like Bleed, Fury, and then Gelida. And as the guys on the cast have been saying, that 3rd seed is a massive advantage over like the 4th, 5th seeds. 4 and 5, unfortunately, don't really make much difference. So yeah, I actually think that this has been fantastic signs for Gelida, and we might even get to see that with a surprising gift on the standings come the end of this round robin.
Well, you're talking about a gift. How about a gift of a game? That's right. We got Bleed and Elevate. First versus second coming up after this short break.